All right, so I'm getting ready to retry this project, which is going to be an acts of kindness tracker on a mirror. So what I've done is I've cut out my quote with my Cricut stencil material, and then I've grabbed my gridded. It doesn't have to be gridded; it's just transfer tape. I didn't cut a piece that is bigger than this whole thing. I just cut enough so that it will cover up the wording here. That way it won't pull apart when I remove it. So then I'm just gonna take the stencil material off of the backing. And if you're not catching all the little pieces, just watch your little tiny bits there. Just take it slow. Come on. There we go. That's a much cleaner way to transfer our stencil over. Now we'll get it put on the mirror. Now we're going to prep the mirror. So you're going to measure your mirror and then find the halfway mark. So I know that the halfway mark for me is 13 and a half. So I'm going to make a little mark, and the halfway mark here is 10 and a half. So I'm going to line that up with my 13 and a half inch mark and make another mark. And these will just, that Sharpie just comes right off. So this is the middle here. Then I'm going to measure. I know my stencil is 12 inches, so I'm going to measure up 6 inches. And you can make a mark on the bottom too, measuring down 6 inches. And then from this mark, I'm going to measure over 6 inches on either side. And that's going to be where I'm going to try and line up my stencil. So then we'll grab our stencil and we're going to line it up starting at the top of our stencil with the 2 marks we just made. And I'm going to use the grid as my mark, so I'm going to use the corner of the grid rather than the very top of my paper. And then I'm just slowly going to go from the top down, and it should line up pretty well with our marks at the bottom. So give it a good, make sure it's very stuck before we try and take this contact paper off. And you'll want to make sure you've really washed your mirror before this step. So it's nice and clean. All right, then we're slowly going to take off our transfer paper. Okay, now we've transferred our stencil. I'm going to use my scraper to carefully make sure all my edges are laid down. I'm going to just be very gentle because I don't want to catch the edge and bend it. I'm just slowly trying to see if there are any raw lifted edges. You don't have to really get rid of all the bubbles because we're not going to be painting all of the areas. You just want to make sure that the letters are flat and it feels flat. Oh, I missed a star here. Forgot to weed that one. There we go. So next we're just going to grab our paintbrush and our paint. This is just acrylic paint. I like the acrylic paint because it'll come off. I'm just going to pour a little on my brush and get started. All right, so now we've let this dry. We're ready to take it off. So I'm just gonna slowly peel it off. You can do 2 coats if you want of the paint. Just let it dry and then do a second coat. It's pretty, this stencil's pretty sticky, so I don't know if you'd be able to use it again. Just flicking off some paint, but that'll just come right off. Okay, then I'm just gonna use my weeding tool to get these little bits in here. Be careful not to, oops, scratch your mirror. I was just gonna say. Okay. And then if you had any spillage, you can just, this works really good just to scrape it. Or leakage, I guess spillage is the word. Just scrape around if there was any bleeding. And then the last step is to track your kindness. You can write on these just with a Sharpie and it'll come off. This is my marks from when I set the stencil, and it just comes off with a little bit of, well, spit, but you can just use water. So it's not permanent. The marker on your, I'm trying to say is it's not, the marker on your mirror is not permanent. So acts of kindness, I'm just going to track the kindness acts that me and my family do. It's a good visual reminder every day in the morning to be kind, and then good reinforcement every afternoon to write down what you've done. So, you know, oh, here's another. Whatever it is you might have done. And for my kiddos, helping out their sibling is an act of kindness, so that would go on here, or, you know, bringing in the groceries for me or doing their chores. So those are all the kind of things that I'm going to track on here, and I'm excited. So today I can start asking them for their acts of kindness. Let's throw it up so you can see what the finished will look like. So here's what it looks like. If you can see. It's really fun project.